keep in mind that there are four major factors that you have to understand if you have to start a food business in this year 2023 or in the future. Because hey guys, hope you're doing well and great. All right, in today's content I'm going to be talking about based on my experience. So if you're about to start a food business, this is some good concept and idea for you before you jumped into the entire business itself. So the topic for today is starting food business in 2023 and in the future. All right, so this is going to be based on my experience so far with the business, the food business that I operate. And so I'm going to share with you 4 points, right? There are many other points, but to be very specific, I want to kind of draw a map on within these 4 points so you guys will be able to grab more ideas about what is the best way you should start and plan out for your new business. So the first point, right, is tested product, right? So if you have to start a new business, you want to understand if your product is tested or not. So here's the thing that I have already mentioned in the previous video as well, that you have to understand who your target audience is, right? In our business, what we thought about was everybody would like the product that we sell, but then we also find out that there are many people that comes up with different kind of preference, choice, and all those things. So if you're in the food industry, you've got to narrow down a lot of points. Some of the thing would be because we live in the community where people have their belief, faith, and all other things that comes up with the health itself, which is allergens and all those things, right? So, for example, we do a sushi business as well, right? In our business, we probably may think about everybody would like sushi. Well, it's a fancy food. Everybody likes the food, but then how much do we have the buyer in our audience? So we live in a city where there is a population is about close to 35 to 60,000, right? So we have to understand what is the purchasing power of each person or each individuals who would be willing to, not only considering the purchase power of the people who would be our future buyer or our customers, we got to know who are our competitors. So understanding how many people are providing the same food product within that community, right? So if I'm saying that we have about 60 to 65,000 people in our community, there are about close to 10 to 15 other restaurants that sells sushi and other varieties of product. Now, in our concept or our business model, we are doing as a to-go business, right? Where it's just going to be a takeout. There is no dining in, right? So if you have to come up in future, and if you want to start your own food business, this is what really you have to determine whether you're going to be actually making what you really plan to, come up with. So the first thing, as we have mentioned, tested your product quality. Basically, you can come up with any product, right? There is nothing new product in this world anymore. Everything is fusion, as we have already mentioned on the previous videos. The first thing that you have to understand is that, let's say you have to come up with a sushi based on what we are selling. Now, the demographic is about like 60 to 65,000 people, but then there are other competitors, the restaurants who sells the same kind of a food product. Am I bringing better quality than the other people, or is it my food is easily accessible compared to other people, or are people are willing to just go for a takeout, and or people do prefer to dining in, right? So there's a lot of key factors to kind of determine whether to understand if the business is going to go successfully or not. So the first thing is focus on the quality of the product, test somehow that how it's going to run. So about how do you test out their product, please do watch my other video as well, where I have discussed tons of information about virtual kitchen resource, right? Virtual kitchen is one of the way that you will be able to come up with before you spend thousands and thousands of money. You will be able to start in a small scale to see whether your product is fit to the market, and then also if you are going to start that with your own establishment, having a restaurant or operation, You want to know whether that product is going to be competing with somebody else. If it's so, then how many competitors are there? So in our cases, let's say if we have 65,000 people in our community, then you assume it like if we have a 10 other competitors within the same community, then we are each store has a potential of sharing about close to 6,500 customers every month, or say that's a potential number, right? But then in that 6,500 customers, how many people have allergens, right? Or how many people do not like the raw food, or how many people do not like the taste of the vinegar, which is acidified with the rice, right? And all those things you have to consider it. So at the end, the number will come very, very low compared to the number which you have in the whole, right? So at the end, you might come up with no more than let's say if we have to take a 10% on the 6,500 people as well, we have about 650 people within our community to serve, right? And then if I have 600 people, that out of the 600 people, 650 people, how many people would like to, why would they come up to my store and buy or go for a takeout? Do they have a preference of having a dining in, sitting in the restaurant and eat the food, right? So I have to cut out those people. And then I have to also look into people who are allergic to this food, right? And also that 6,500 people also count kids and as long as they're human being, right? So there are people also variable with the income as well. So how many people on that 6,500 has a potential income to at least purchase from me at least 4 times or 5 times in a month? That's what I'll look for. And at the same time, I have to look for what is the price range that I can facilitate to these consumers or the customers, right? So there's a lot of other factors that we have to really understand and have to jot down a lot of information on it. So at the end, you might want to come up with some specific number that you can kind of make it a silver line for you. If you go beyond that, probably you may be able to make it. If it's not, then you're going to sink, right? So this is what you have to come up with. So now the best way to determine is there is no best way. So it all is based on how you experiment, trial and test it. But the best to do, best way to understand whether you should start a business or not in the food industry is running virtually or having sorts of what do you call it, the data to determine whether you should fit into the market or not, or should you even try it or not, because trying is hard. Also, at the same time, it's not about trying. You are putting a lot of time, energy, and money. And so, if you don't make it or recover it, it's going to be really, really hard for everyone, right? So that's what in this key point why I want to share with you is understand what you are going to do. So if you have the product which is really, really in demand, the first thing is that you will be able to now kind of draw, have your own categories of the people that who you will be able to facilitate it based on the quality of the product or the preference of the product. So the second point is convenience to buy. This is something which I really learned. So let's say if you find a place or a restaurant or a retail space where you want to start your business with, it could be within the community. Let's say if I'm starting with the business within this 65,000 community, then I have to understand where am I located. See, the virtual concept is really good when you have or you are able to compromise with your price range through the third party delivery, because your pricing will be cut down because you have to pay off these commissions to the third party delivery service. Right now, what happened here is that what is the other options that you have to get more traffic, right? So now let's say if you have a business retail space or restaurant space where people cannot easily come in, or if the parking lot is always busy or packed, probably it's good. But what if it's packed during when you need them? Then probably they might not just come there also, right? This is something that you have to really consider, because this is what we have gone through and we are still going through it. So sometimes we want to change our business locations, but it's not easy to change the locations when you start already, drafting and you have signed a contract and all those things. So this is something that I really want to kind of make it a ballpoint for you guys to understand. The location is really, really important. So, right? So, if I have to come up with the next locations, then I will always look for independent locations, which means that I want to have the options to people to drive through. Because if I am going to provide them the only takeout service, then the best alternate or say way to increase 80 to 90% of the sale is people drive through, because they don't want to get out of the car and then come in and wait and then get your food prepared, all those things. Well, they can actually call us ahead of time before they come and pick it up. But the thing is that when it's a pickup or take up to go food, usually people prefer. That's a reason a lot of drive-through business makes good money, right? I mean, we understand all these concepts, but we have never been into this drive-through business. Then later on, as we have been in the business, we understand that drive-through is really, really important, and because convenience is what it provides, right? And easy access is what it also accommodates. So we have to understand these points that down the line, if I have to start a new locations, what would be my preference? My preference would be an independent location, right, where I can set up a drive-through system where people can just order it, and or if they have already placed an order, it's gonna be they have to just sit in the car and pick it up the food, right? So that is one of the key points as well that you have to really, really understand, because the easy way for people to access to your place would be drive through. Let's say if it's raining, it's a bad weather, people don't want to get out and not just for the food. They can either ask for a delivery, but the problem is here, if they ask for the delivery, they have to pay almost 50% on the delivery fees, the service fees, and all those things, right? So the price on the product got increased. Now, so you want to help the customers to cut off the price on the product itself or the service itself. How are you going to help the customer to cut down the prices based on convenience you can provide to them? So as we have mentioned, if it's a bad weather, they would not want to come out of the car, and or neither you want to you have the time to go and deliver to the customer at the parking lot, right? Instead of what if they can drive through? That's the other way to increase the traffic for your business. So keep in mind that when you are going to set up a business for like to go or take out, think about the best convenience way. So that will be one of my picking point would be that have a drive-through system, so that it'll provide a convenience to the people who has to come in at least try and test or buy a product, right? So the third thing what I want to also share with you is pricing the product, right? So pricing management is how it works is that sometime, as we have mentioned, that you don't want to be beyond whatever the quality, doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, because people always will have a substitute, a product or alternate food to compete your price, right? So at the end, what you have to think about is that whatever the price that you are putting it, if it's convenience, those convenient price has to be some sort of deductions towards your marketing, right? Say for example, if you are selling for $10, then always keep in mind that for some period of time or for some period of a season, that you want to kind of cut off like 15 to 20% of the price for your marketing, so you are not going upside down. So once you do that, your customer will actually understand it. When I say the marketing cost would be not necessarily you're just spending the money on advertisement or anything like that. What I'm talking about is the promotions that you are providing to the customer. So if you are providing like a 20% discount on the drive-through, or 20% or 25% on buy one get one, something like that, then that will also help the customer, not only the customer, but also help your business brand to build up, right? So this is something that you really have to understand. How can you work around on the pricing of the product when you're not even competing with, or say when you're competing with other competitors? So everybody is selling for $10, but what is the best value that the customer can get from my business, paying the same amount and also have the same convenience and also getting kind of a better value than other competitors? So this is what you want to play around. You don't want to increase like from 10 to 12 because you want to provide the convenience and all those things. People are okay to get the convenience, but the number of the people is very very low, and that will not help you to, in the long run. So the best way to think about is how can you fix that price and work around with that price and accommodate your customers to give them or share them more value on it, right? So that's one of the things that I want to share with you. And the last point is the product concept. So the product concept is related with the value again, right? What is the value that you are providing to the customer? Are you providing some sort of fusion food new experience or new sorts of product in the market, right? So as we have mentioned earlier, there is nothing new much in this world, but then at the end you may have come up with a different sauce or ingredients and something like that that you want to kind of make it healthier food products for your consumers, right? You may be, for example, if I'm in the sushi business, let's say I'm in a food sushi business, not only sushi business, we do a chicken, fried rice, and other smoothies, ice cream, and all those stuff. We do in the same restaurant, right? So let's talk about the sushi. So if I have to do the sushi, am I providing the fresh fish, or am I providing a frozen fish, or how is that? What is the portion of that sushi compared to the other competitors in the market, right? So what value are that I'm providing? Is it health or food safety? Some people usually use the rice for like 2 days, 3 days. Well, we don't want to do that because the freshness of the rice is within like a first 5 or 10 hours, right? Usually, technically, it is a 4 hour, but we can go up to like, if you have the HACCP plan, we can go up to like a 10 hour to make the best quality of the rice itself for a sushi, right? So there's a lot of criteria that you want to look into it, but focusing on the product concept, which is the value that you are providing to the customer. And the second thing is what is the best experience that you are providing with this business model, right? What is the best experience that the customer can share about your business? What is the best experience that the customer can talk about the value, the price, and the things that they are getting from you? So it's about the value and the experience that you want to accommodate. Also, this align with the story. What is that you are doing when the customer buy? Are you doing something that is helpful for the community, or is that something that the community is benefiting from you, right? So it's all about how can we give other, and in exchange, if they are happy, then they reward you. If they're not happy, they won't reward you. Basically, you got to think about it. What is the best way that I can give better experience and better value, and in exchange, how can my customer reward me? And the reward will come in the sales, right? So when you provide a really really good value to the customers, when you provide a really good experience, what we at the end expect is doing this activity is the amount of participation. So what we are trying to drive here is that how many people would participate if I do provide this value to the customers, right? So this is some of the key points that we have to really really understand. All right, guys, this is what I want to share with you in today's content. So keep in mind that there are 4 major factors that you have to understand if you have to start a food business in this year 2023 or in the future, because down the line everybody would want to jump in the food industry. It's not about because there's a lot of profit or anything, but because people would like to, not necessarily in food industry, but people like to be more independent. So they want to generate more of what do you call it, at their will, right? Experience is what it's all about. So what happens is here that you're going to have a lot of competitions. So at the end, if you understand these 4 concepts, which based on my experience, you will be able to come up from all those competitions in the market. So to just kind of summarize once again, you gotta understand, number 1 is test your product and make sure that the product is some sorts of a product that the customer would want it, and it's market fit product, right? And the way to do is start with a small scale. Just share with one of these restaurants if they can promote your products, or start your own virtual kitchen. If not, then you can also always use a commissary kitchen, right? The second one is the convenience about your business, right? How are the customer going to get access to your business or to your product, and what is the best way, easiest way, right? Because here's what we have to understand is that third-party delivery is very convenient, but it increases the price. So you are competing with the price now, right? So the best way would be to look into drive-through business model or some sorts of a thing, right? And also the third thing is the pricing management. So when you are marking up the price, make sure that you are giving extra value for the reason that you are marketing, and that cost of extra value is towards going towards your marketing cost, which means that you are benefiting in both way. At the same time, the customer is getting some value from your business, or because they're paying the same value or whatever the price that is in market competitions, right? The fourth one is product concepts. As I have mentioned earlier, the concepts has to be that how people are getting value for using your product. At the same time, what is their experience to using your product or consuming your product. All right, so with all these things, at the end, what we expect is the participations of the consumers of the product, of the people, to come and help you out on accelerating your business, or to increase your business sales and revenue, right? I hope this content is helpful for you guys. If you do like and want to share with or have questions, please do feel free to share me your thoughts, comments, and feedback. I would really appreciate it. And also thank you so much for sharing your feedbacks and comments in the previous video. I really appreciate for your participations. I really want to thank you for your time to share me your comments, taking your time to give me feedback and how you appreciate. And also I've received some emails and all those things. I really appreciate that you really have got some value info from this contents. I believe that I will be able to provide more like this, but for that I will want you to stick into it, to subscribe to the channel. And if you have friends and folks who would be interested into this concepts or this model of a food industry, please do share this content to them. All right guys, until next video, you guys have a good day. Take it easy.